return of both Husky and Onyx. Husky, having not been on this stage since spring 2021, the playoffs, where he lost against Machi, and he was wearing a Beyond Gaming jersey. For Onyx, we haven't seen him since last summer when he was on Alpha Esports. So it is the return of some of our more experienced players in Onyx's regard. Very experienced, if you remember the HQ days.
Yeah, and the trademark champion during his AHQ days was, nice little damage on ICU, Jinx. But should be fine. Was, of course, the Jinx when he went to Worlds with AHQ. He was the big win condition. Get this Jinx ahead, let On do work. So perhaps that will be the case yet again in this game, where he's able to get some resources. But when you look at these lanes, of course, you've got very strong lanes in the Yone and this Gnar. I expect to see Alex try and play around these two lanes in particular early on, and then it's about Winnie being able to roam around and help force onto these lanes as well, because it's difficult to force anything down in bot lane against a Braum lane.
Yeah, it does feel like both these bot lanes have kind of effectively said, all right, we don't want the junglers to get involved. So what are we going to see out of Gemini and Alex at this point? Is it going to be trying to snowball on mid? Is that the win condition up against Mission, who is a very strong player, but he's on a Corki that we have seen can get taken down a peg or two in the early game?
Yeah, the big thing from this Impunity draft is they do need to be a little bit more forceful. Not necessarily early on. Okay, we see a level 2.
That's forceful.
Again, it's a Braum lane, so in the end, he throws up the door and kind of slams it on your toes. Yeah, exactly. Gemini needs to be the one to try and get something done pre-6, but once 6 does come around, I think Alex really becomes really lethal. So I like this move coming in from Gemini, try and invade towards this red buff, steal it away, at least slow down Alex, and it does look like Alex isn't really aware of this move.
Yeah, it's going to be a smite fight. Now he sees it coming. Okay, there's the kickback, and totally denies it. Mission, though, looking to join as well. Alex actually turned away. This is nice moves from Gemini. Barely gets punished, although he does get shoved by the Talia. So it really doesn't get punished too heavily for it. And now it's going to force Alex into a bit of a rough situation. No red to take.
Yeah, that will help slow things down. And now perhaps setting up for a top lane dive. Sejuani, of course, a little bit tankier and does pack a decent amount of damage. So going for this trade actually makes a lot of sense. Make sure he can't crash the lane. And now here we go.
Oh, really good connect from Gemini. Oh, into the first blood. He was not fooled at all. Did have to burn his flash, as Rest did set things up with the Ignite. Earns the assist on that one. And Alex going to try to make something happen down bottom, but it's just Krug time. So CFO coming out the gate swinging.
Yeah, and that was a nice play coming in from CFO. At the same time, ICU, knowing that the Lee Sin was going to be topside, doesn't exactly respect it. Isn't able to try and cut the wave off to prevent the wave from crashing, and also just doesn't decide to back off. So kind of caught in no man's land of decision making, and does cost them quite a bit.
See, as that replay was rolling, there was a little bit of action down bot, but as you said before, all it takes is the Braum shutting the door. However, there was a heal and a flash burned on that bottom side in exchange for just Winnie's Ignite. So Impunity actually winning out a bit better on the bot. Onyx coming up with a pretty sizable CS lead, although with the wave crashing and the minion demat, it's not that big of an issue.
Yeah, and when it comes to Zeri, you don't really pick Zeri for her laning prowess, right? Just because she has pretty low damage in the lane phase. The big thing is, of course, the team fight presence. And when we talk about, hey, if we're going to be playing Atlan over Shun, it's because we have a belief in what he's able to perhaps bring in these team fights over just winning lane and snowballing off of that as, you know, a win condition point. So as the game moves forward, that is going to be a massive focus here, having Atlan in the roster.
Yeah, it does change quite a bit of calculus for the Flying Oyster side, right? Because Shun, I think really wowed everybody with just the pop-off potential. And this was the meta when it was, it was Jinx Aphelios. Occasionally, if you could get your hands on this area, great. And yes, I realize there's a Jinx in this game. It's still around, but there's a lot more options at the AD carry role, and the team fighting was Atlan's specialty. It definitely was a point of reliability, and he talked about how this is a team that they understand each other well. They played together for a while. Atlan was a part of the inbuilt team synergy. So it doesn't entirely surprise me that that level of trust is there.
Oh,
they rely on him as Gemini returns to the scene of the crime. ICU's pushed up without vision.
I think they're looking for 6. Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't have mana. Okay, trying to stop him. Waiting for it. There goes the Ice Bola, but it's a flash burn by ICU. Still, though, very, very good without having to burn any of their own summoner spells.
Yeah, but I like this cross map move coming in from Impunity, though, right? Because of the fact that you know that jungler's up top side, and you have bot lane wave priority. You're just going to be able to capture this first dragon. So nice little start here for Impunity as far as objective goes, even if the laning hasn't been great when it comes to top half of the map.
Yeah, I mean, ICU may have been shut down a little bit here, and that may be a rough go for him for a while now. But right now, Dragon, solid start with that first Ocean that they've been able to pick up. Alex has been power farming, actually hit level 5 before Gemini off the back of it, even though he got set behind early. And now Winnie going through the darkness here to try and just get back to bottom lane, but nobody was really around to try and punish that rotation. I was wondering where he was going after that Dragon take.
Now, definitely threw a look towards that mid lane, but of course with the position, it's a little bit hard to gank for the Yone. But on the return end, we actually see Rest making his way over into the mid lane because he's on a bit of a roam timer. So now Husky is kind of in the upcoming couple of minutes is perhaps going to struggle a bit because the Sejuani is able to get shove against a Gnar, which usually you wouldn't say, but because of how set behind ICU has been, he's going to be struggling in that department.
Yeah, it will be. And Mission's been able to build a decent lead over his opposite number as well. Very quiet mid lane. I did think that there was a possibility that Impunity were going to try to snowball on that, but identifying Gemini stopping Alex from getting a red focus hasn't really been able to do much as they go again into the red pit. Alex, if he sniffs this out, it's a 1v2. Even if he could do something about it, would have to try for the smite takeaway as ICU already in Mega Gnar form, but he's running out of time. This is a little tense. He walks into it, face checks, gets kicked in, and Gemini takes him out. Meanwhile, the timing couldn't be worse for ICU here as he comes in just in time to watch his support die, or excuse me, jungler, and for a double kill, Gemini with Rest cleaning house.
Oh, that was just so poorly executed, coming in from both ends. Both the jungler and the top laner. ICU gets Mega Gnar. By the time he gets there, though, Mega Gnar is already gone. So he's back to Mini. And then Alex, I feel like trying to get an angle of or trying to shoot them into the Mega Gnar, goes forward and face checks the bush rather than try and play with range. And that could be because he maybe forgot that he didn't have a ward trinket, and maybe that he wanted to put a ward trinket into that bush, but he gets caught out, he dies, and ICU is just free food afterwards. So him dying,
he knew this was happening. He knew at least one person was in there. Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Maybe he thought it was just Rest in there because he saw Rest coming in from top side and was like, Gemini can't be here. But surprise, surprise, Lee Sin's also there, and that's really a big moment there because now Alex doesn't have as much tempo as he would have, but now collapse onto Koala.
They do find Koala. A lot of damage gets negated by that Unbreakable. He just burned Flash to get the heck out of dodge, but yeah, you were talking about a big power window. I mean, Gemini got a sub 10-minute gore drinker off of that play. This is going to be a rough ride if you're Impunity right now. They're down almost 3,000 gold, and it doesn't really matter if Onyx is able to shove around. Alan doesn't really care, and they're actually going to roam into the Talia jungle with him and Koala. Nothing much for Alex to take here, but it's not safe. Here comes Gemini with the double buffs, and Flash already burned.
Flash for ult. is definitely worthwhile for the CFO. And now maybe a 3v3 here.
Okay, Winnie wanted something here. Let's see if they can actually take it. Gemini doesn't have the double buffs, but they were clearly looking for an opener to set up with Rift Herald that was taken off the back of it. They're only find the angle they're looking for as the Weaver's Wall just knocks Koala closer to his own tower. Even Husky wanted a piece of that, but nothing doing.
Yeah, it was definitely a good attempt there. If they were able to actually split one of those two players away from the other, that would have been great. But as a result, it's just going to be a bit of an exchange of ultimates. Okay,
Husky. Okay,
that's a good all-in.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it wasn't all in because he did back out, but you know, close enough. Good trade. Now here comes the Sejuani. Gemini on the opposite side too, looking for a pincer. Husky. Oh, easy dodge. Read. That was nicely done by Husky. Made that look oh so easy. But here comes Rift Herald. Summoned in the mid lane. Husky, no wave left. Dodges the Sonic Wave as well. And even finds extra damage on Mission.
Oh,
and Shelly goes in. Oh boy, they got the package Valk out of Mission as well. And Husky playing on the edge, but decent denial.
Unfortunately, he goes aggressive there to try and deny Mission those two plates, but now Winnie collapsing, teleport coming in from Husky too.
Yeah, this is the chance to pick some gold back up for Alex. Rocket gonna fly a little
Gore Drinker.
No, Gemini! He's gonna get the outplay on the Gore Drinker, and now on an escape route, can he get away with murder? Into the hop,
here.
Skip, jump, dodge, no, taking damage, doesn't matter, blast going away, and Gemini is turning up.
Gemini making some big plays with this Lee Sin. We've seen in the previous other games, it was really just the Mission win condition, right? On the game where he was playing Galio, he was literally doing the jungler's work. Gemini did literally nothing besides farming camps until he hit level 6 on Viega, but this time around, it's a completely different story. Misses the Q, but he just has so many battle stats because he already has the completed Gore Drinker. Goes in, plenty of damage as well with the Gore Drinker, and Talia just doesn't necessarily have as good of a 1v1 potential, especially when behind on items.
God, look at that juke. Gemini, yeah, he takes a lot of damage here, but by this point, he's full on out. And Atlan and Koala cover him. They managed to get the Dragon off that, so it cuts Impunity's Drake stack. And the gold lead just keeps on swelling, Nightstar. It's 4,000 at 13 minutes now. And yeah, Gemini's had the lion's share of that, but he has made it count.
Absolutely. CFO, very, very powerful position. Rest continuing to make these roams, and it all stems from the fact that ICU, that lane just kind of snowballed out of control after that first death. And these are the consequences. Now, Alex has pretty much only been stuck on half of the map. He hasn't been able to go back up top lane because every time he does, he just loses another red buff.
Yeah, Gemini has not allowed him, I think, hardly. I haven't kept track perfectly. I feel like he's denied him every red buff this game. And now they're going to get a dive onto Husky. Flash into the kick. He does burn his own.
Okay.
All right, Husky does stay alive for now. Nicely done. I mean, that's what you got to do at this point. As the Jinx gets knocked up, Onyx exhausted. Flash cleansed to get out of danger after he tanked everything. And the lightning crash from the Zeri really zones him out of this fight a bit. Now, Mission, speaking of zoning, Husky already gone. Gemini going to join him, and this should be first brick in mid. And the dive down bot is being sniffed at, even in a 2v2, but they're not going to take it. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. That's the chance to get some gold back, but they hop it. And Koala taxi cabs his way over to freedom. Impunity are denied yet again.
It does burn both flashes, so that's at least a small consolation for the side of Impunity. But they just haven't been able to find plays. They've been looking and fishing for them, but the timing windows just aren't fast enough. They haven't been rapid enough, I should say, where you're burning a flash and you're immediately coming back to punish it. By the time they come back, the flash is already back up. In ICU, that is a terrible situation.
Yeah, I think CFO they've not only read the map, they've read the timers on everything from dragons and heralds and red buffs to Narbars. ICU going to get his back, but it's a little too little too late. And man, what a difference this game has been. CFO I think we were worried coming into today because it seemed like this squad didn't quite have the read on the meta that we would have thought with so much time on 12.11, but clearly, when given the right tools to succeed, they're doing exactly what they need to. Mission, he's just been farming up. He's got a 30 CS lead over Husky at this point, and everybody else is just killing it.
Yeah, and again, that comes indirectly because of the top lane pressure, right? Because now you're having to deal with Rest roaming down into the mid lane. You also know where Alex is at all times, pretty much, because whenever he goes top lane, well, you know he's not top lane, because Gemini's taking his red buff, so he can't be top side. So all you have to do is hug top half of your lane, and you should be safe and pretty much impervious from all gank angles. So things really snowballing, careening out of control, you could say. And ironically, it's coming in from the top side, which usually we would say, hey, top lane's an island. Doesn't matter what happens top lane, because only the rest of the map matters. But here it has been the impact from top side.
Oh yeah, Rest has been able to do quite a lot with what ICU and Gemini has given them, as there's a good dodge out, and then Rest is like, all right, you know, never going to shy away from a chance to meme anyone, even yourself. As Husky down bottom looking for the play. Winnie's here, and so is Alex. Can they close the gap? They do manage to grab Koala into the Glacial Fissure. He goes, taking a lot of damage. But it's Atlan to turn it. This is a 2v3 Night Star. Look at the zooms coming in.
The package.
Mission in the package. Got a special delivery to make right here, courtesy of CTBC.
On the way.
Flying Oyster, but big old shutdown as not only Husky picking up the kill, but through the back, everybody's coming in the party.
Where'd he come from?
And the back is Rest, but the team's gone. What's going on here? Onyx trying to stay alive, limping away. But he does fall.
Oh my god.
On the Ignite, Rest getting the 1v2 to finish the job, but wait, when he baits him out, and Gemini will finish the job free as you like. What just happened?
Oh my lord. That was a play and a half. Impunity finally find somewhat of a good fight, and even that isn't enough to actually get a winning edge. Yes, it's still worthwhile for them because they're able to trade evenly and they're able to get gold onto the carry members. We get to see the replay as it starts out. Winnie lands the hook, but again, all their cooldowns being invested onto Koa, onto this Braum. Said before, you try and engage on a Braum, he kind of slams the door shut and you stub your toe. That's exactly what happens there. They just don't do enough. And that gives them enough time for Mission to make his way down. However, unfortunately for them, Annex is able to come in and sweep up some of these kills, and then Rest TPs in onto that Raptor Ward, makes his long way around, and he's able to mop up some way, somehow.
Yeah, leaves the kill. I think at this point he realizes, okay, I could chase for it, I'll probably die. Whatever, Gemini's got this, and he just finishes the job. That was a turn of events. I mean, the moment Rest comes in, it's like, oh, wow, where did you even come from? The Raptor Ward. And now we're right back into it here. 18.5 minutes. You see that Impunity realize they have a timing window to work with. Meganar still up. It's a one-man knock, though. It only hits Koala. They can't quite trade through the health bar, but maybe they can shut down Gemini. He hops away from danger. And finally, someone on Impunity gets a red buff, but it's Husky Gemini going in. Finally will die. That's the shutdown for Husky. They have the opportunity here. Atlan going to get kicked into oblivion. And Mission was not with the team. Impunity getting 2, but they do lose Alex, so it's not the cleanest trade. Still, you'll take this at a deficit.
Yeah, at long last, they're able to get a positive trade. Even that last one was a one-man trade down. But here, they're able to trade up on one member. And more importantly, they're able to get the shutdown on the Lee Sin. So that's a heck of a lot more gold into their pockets. Alex hasn't had a great game, but again, a lot of the tunneling, he's been denied a lot of his red buffs, just this top half of the map in general. So at long last, we're going to be able to see them get the red buff, but once more, it just seems it's an overforce, right? We've dumped all of our CC, all of our ultimates into a Braum, and he just stuffs it by throwing up the door. But Gemini, he overextends himself just a little bit. Of course, he was strong, but he is a level down, so he doesn't have the rank 2 ultimate, which would have contributed a lot more damage. And Impunity, long last, make a stand, but is it enough? They're still just losing so much.
Yeah, they're still got a significant amount of gold. You got another Shelly charging through right now. They want to try to cut it down before that charge does happen again, and they do. But yeah, there is some silver linings here. Husky starting to feel himself a little bit, and one of those things you can do on a Yone is go in without quite as much fear of reprisal. Shutdown gold was massive as he was getting incredibly out-farmed this game and just didn't have a lot to do, but now we're starting to see the Yone come online, so keep an eye out for those massively impactful Fate Sealed. If they can bunch them up, Onyx can pepper them with rockets. You have the tools to make this team fighting comp work, but you're gonna need to climb out of the gold hole.
Yeah, not just climb out of the gold hole. They have to be very decisive with their engages, right? Because you can't let the fight setup go for too long. We have a minute and a half until the next dragon, and when you look at up and down the gold gap is pretty large, especially in these solo lanes. And interestingly enough, it's going to be a bit of a tank Yone build, right? It's not the full crit that we would expect to see. As the kick gets used onto a Nautilus, I'm not sure if that was very useful. It seems to be very similar to how they've burned a lot on the Impunity end on trying to get the Koala kill. And it's about the same way when
Ult's on cooldown.
Exactly.
A little bit weird, but I think Gemini Gemini's maybe feeling himself a little bit. He has had a very, very good game with some exceptions, and they will get the seismic shove onto Koala, who once again stuffs a fair bit of the damage, but
Mega.
I don't know, even Brahm's got limits. Now you got the Meganar on the run.
Oh, he doesn't get it.
Denied by the Glacial Prison. And Rest is able to even dash the wall on this one. You can see Impunity are looking for it, but they're always just chasing CFO on their own.
Winnie!
This time goes in and they bring Husky to the party. The rocket comes through to shred some health bars. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Koala and Atlan gonna get locked up and nowhere to go over that wall. Even with the Corki taking the tower, that's 2 quick kills, and now Impunity heading for Baron.
I don't know if they should look for the Baron here, because Dragon's still definitely a big priority, but they're going to try and invest their time in snagging themselves that extra gold, which will help them considerably. But at the same time, CFO, they should just look to take this Dragon right off the spawn. Perhaps Impunity wants to go contest Dragon right afterwards, but here's the fight.
They've got actually one catch on the Rest, a little bit of a dirty one as it knocked him away from some of the CC, I should say there, but it doesn't matter. They still get the shutdown. Peeling off the Baron.
The package.
The objective package is up. You got to be careful. Respect that on the Corki. Even in a 5v4, you're still down a lot of gold. They are making a beeline for the Drake. That shreds a lot faster.
Inferno Drake now up and available. How do they set up for this? ICU doesn't have a Gnar bar to play around with. That's going to be concerning. They can look to teamfight on the side of CFO.
They are going for it, looking for Gemini. Aldo in and out goes Husky. They're actually splitting their focus, and that's going to do them in right now. Okay. As Atlan falls, Winnie falls. It's a 4v3, and CFO just stuffing Impunity, pushing them away. I mean, I get that blue buff, but it does not matter. They've got 3 dragons in the pocket and push. Oh, now they go for the Baron themselves.
Yeah, now they can look to go for this Baron take here. Rest, of course, extremely tanky, so he's going to be able to tank all that damage. You also have that Braum if need be, but this should be a very easy Baron secure for the side of CFO. Alex wants to try and go for a contest, or even pulling a teleport, but it's just too little too late.
Yeah, Koala was already body blocking for everything. I mean, the best chance there was maybe a Hail Mary Jinx rocket, but it just wasn't going to happen. And Impunity, I think they tried to have their cake and eat it too in this team fight. This was the start of everything, and it was actually a Winnie opener. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. You get the catch onto Atlan. You also get the catch onto Koala this time around. Didn't have the door up fast enough off of cooldown, but they make their way all the way up towards the Baron, which they got kills at Baron too. The issue was the fact that they weren't able to fully transition it into the Dragon because of the extra package. So the package playing massive dividends, and this is why Corki, even though, like, remember, he was a lot stronger last split.
When he wasn't played.
Yeah, exactly. And PCS just didn't pick it up. This is why it's been such a powerful pick, because even with harder package timings, he just has so much impact with that.
You're right. Scales up quite well. And the gold lead still pretty heavy in favor of Flying Oyster. About 8,000 ahead here at 25.5 minutes. And Impunity trying to stave off this Baron push. Rest goes up. Dodging is ICU. But it's a dangerous maneuver. There goes the ultimate. And they're going to bring the Weaver's Wall down. It actually gets stuffed by Braum. That's another thing you can do with the Unbreakable. You even stop Talia's ultimate.
Yeah. The door comes multi-purpose, and now Impunity. This is definitely a tough part of the game for them because they don't have great wave clear. It's really all on Alex, and doesn't have that much at this point. Gemini on the side. Husky also not the highest damage dealer with this build.
Just yet. No Corki package, but they're still able to pepper them with poke. And,
still
look at Winnie just, oh boy. Not the tankiest Nautilus at this point, so I think this is going to be the long siege. CFO should be able to finish the tower off from here. That is 6 towers unanswered by Impunity. Keep in mind how much of the gold game is just sitting in those objectives.
Yeah, a lot of gold coming through from the objective difference, and now Impunity, they really need to find a way to make a stand here, and that's going to come down to Nautilus hitting a hook.
They're going to try one onto the Braum. Will it be enough? Excuse me. It was onto Rest the Sejuani, and he couldn't stop that one. And they will take him down, but unfortunately their base is in shambles right now. Yeah. Gemini just free hitting on the tower. This Lee Sin has to be answered, so they can't really do much off the back of that. And even though Rest dies, they still lose out another tower.
Yeah, it's still overall a win for the side of CFO, but at the very least, Impunity find some way to get gold out of that poor situation. Regardless, they were going to lose in Inhib Tower somewhere because of the fact that CFO can afford to play multiple lanes and Impunity cannot. They just don't have the wave clear to do so. So they just go ahead, pull the trigger onto someone and anyone, and it ends up paying off. So it's not the worst of trades, but now you're seeing why Impunity's composition, while really strong in the mid game, does really slow down towards the later portions of the game, especially with this more bruiser build coming in from the Yone rather than the full crit, where you have high pop-up potential, but if you ever get picked off, you pop like a balloon too.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough, right? And I feel like at this point you're kind of putting all your cards into Onyx and just waiting for that 3-item Jinx to become a thing. The issue is, Atlan is on Zeri, and a 3-item Zeri also pretty terrifying. Mission's going to scale into Oblivion, so as you said, this comp, certainly felt better in the mid-game, especially by comparison. If they get a few picks, Gemini realized there were a lot of Impunity members setting up a Death Brush. Not going to make the same mistake he's done before. But this Dragon fight, very important. Teleport being expended by the Corki to come into the picture, as this is soul point for Flying Oyster. If they secure it feels like it's lights out. This is going to be started. Objective bounty could be claimed here, but here comes CFO down the line.
Oh, okay.
It's going to get taken away. Gemini with the wraparound, and they get the flank, and they move in on the Corki rocket as they pincer the rest of Impunity everywhere. Husky and Onyx make their escape, but it just doesn't matter as everyone else falls, and Atlan is on the hunt. Husky tried to save the life of his bot laner, but it's not going to matter. There's the wife. There's the game. Into the base they go. Lights out for CFO.
And easy does it for the Flying Oysters. They mop up that team fight, and it's just an easy game from there. Yes, Impunity were able to snag up the dragon, which they needed to do. But unfortunately, they just didn't have the positioning, and CFO just took the big old wallet and slapped it right across their face.
Yeah, they didn't need to contest on the dragon because they were able to just take the fight. 16 kills to 9 is the final count. A big